Good evening, friends, and welcome to a late night edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. You know the drill. I'm a retired New York City police detective. And if you like all things true crime related from that police detective's perspective, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. Hey, tonight I want to talk to you about Shanda Vander Ark, her body language and her behavior in court. You know, I have received a tremendous amount of inquiries on DutyRon.com, not only about Shanda, but also about her son, Paul, and also about her Timothy's biological father in Oklahoma. Those are the top three questions that I've been getting. Concerns about Paul, concerns about why the father, the biological father, why is he not hauled in? Why is he not being charged with any type of criminal charges as it pertains to Timothy's death? But before we get into it tonight, I want to just say a special thank you to you, the subscribers, the replay viewers, the moderators, the Patreon supporters, the folks who buy Ed Wallace and myself cups of coffee. You guys are what makes this a great place. And I give thanks and praise to each and every one of you around the Christmas holidays and all year long. Thank you so much for all of your support. So this one's going to be a quick one because my good friend and a friend of all of us here, Dr. G explains, he was supposed to come on with us tonight, but he has a lot going on with the holidays. His wife had some minor surgery and she is still recovering. So there's a couple of things going on in the Dr. G household, but he will be joining us at a later date. But I wanted to go over, he did body language and behavior on Chandra in court, and he did a great job. It was about 22 minutes, and I want to get into that. Kimberly, good to see you. Hello, Rebecca, Jennifer Nobles, Dawn Marie. Everybody's checking in, piling in. Schmitty's here. Cheryl, thank you, Lexi. Beamer 650, Dr. Ed and Julie. While Yet Still Today, CPR Film. Shout out to Gail. Hello to everybody just joining. So much interest in this case, and you know it's so gruesome when you look at it. When you look at it for face value, the torture that this poor 15-year-old went through at the hands of his own flesh and blood, his mother who gave birth to him, and his own brother were ultimately responsible for his torture, starvation, and death. Just sad, just sad. I wanted to play for you just a little clip here. This is after the verdict was read, and then we're going to go straight into Dr. G explains his analysis. He's a forensic and clinical psychologist, and he did a great job of talking about this case. But let's listen to what the prosecutor had to say after she was found guilty on both charges. We're going to hear from Matt Roberts, the DA, who did a great job. He did a fantastic job on this case.
Guilty on all counts, Shanda Vander Ark will now be awaiting sentencing in the death of her son, Timothy Ferguson. She was accused of torturing him until his death last year. However, she wasn't even in the courtroom as her fate was decided.
Count 1, charging open murder involving the death of Timothy Ferguson. We find her guilty of first-degree felony murder.
Even though she wasn't in the courtroom for the verdict, Shanda Vander Ark was found guilty of both murder and child abuse in the death of her son, Timothy Ferguson. Prosecutors say punishments that included ice baths and consuming hot sauce and malnourishment contributed to Timothy's death. Vander Ark did not want to come back to the courtroom because of medical distress. During closing arguments, her attorney argued Vander Ark committed manslaughter, not murder.
They caused this boy's death, but they didn't intend it. That's simply it. We're asking that you, when you do your deliberations, that you consider that.
Matt Roberts was the prosecutor for Vander Ark's trial, calling today's verdict justice for Timothy.
I think as much as can be found, sure. I mean, the justice would be that Timothy is still here. And unfortunately, we can't do that. And sadly, a large part of what we have to do is to speak up for people who are no longer here, who can't be here.
Roberts commenting on Vander Ark's absence in the courtroom Friday.
Honestly, it feels sort of like a cowardly way out. But I'm also not going to say that if she had some type of legitimate medical condition that kept her from coming to court, that certainly, those things happen.
And the judge thanking the jury for seeing disturbing images.
I just want to point this out because not a lot of people know or look at some of the evidence in this trial, but this is the area that they refer to as his room. And it's the size of a small closet. There looks like a drop cloth there or some type of cloth down, but that's where this poor 15-year-old autistic boy, that's where he slept. That's where he was kept. And look at that. Look at how small that is. How enclosed and claustrophobic that could be. The door shut. It just magnifies this tenfold. Yeah, a tarp. Something you'd put over your pool. Disgusting.
Images and listening to hard to swallow text messages.
It was not for the faint of heart, and certainly those of you who did this, unfortunately, it's unfortunate that you will not get those images out of your mind. I won't. But somebody had to do it, and I'm glad that you were willing to do that.
So here's the thing. When it comes down to it, the jurors who saw those photos and heard the testimony, the police officers, the EMTs, the paramedics, the coroner personnel, the folks at the morgue, I know it's their job. When you see this stuff in person and you see it up close, it's hard to shake it. I'll say that. And how many of us here in the chat have questions about the biological father who resided in Oklahoma? He brought Timothy or threatened to give Timothy over to child services in 2021. So in May of 2021, Timothy shows up at the mom's home in Michigan. And that's when slow torture has started. And her husband had a stroke in January of 2022. And we know July 6th of 2022, the morning of July 6th, he was unresponsive. So from January, when her husband, not Timothy's biological father, has a stroke and has to leave the house because he can't climb stairs and goes to live with his mother, that's when the torture begins. So from January or February of 2022, right up until July 6th, 2022. It's when this all took place. And, again, by a show of hands in the chat, how many of you guys feel that the biological father, he should be held accountable for his failure? He shouldn't have given his son to Shanda because the court deemed that she shouldn't have custody of the kids. And I'd like to see and look into why that occurred. And I'm sure that it's pretty clear and apparent why that occurred. So I want to jump into it because I don't have long here, but Dr. G explains, great, a clinical and forensic psychologist, a body language expert. He goes over 27 minutes of body language in court. Now, by a show of hands here, how many of you guys saw the testimony? And the testimony that she gave was so difficult to listen to because she conveniently had memory loss when she was questioned about the actions that she ordered to be carried out by her older son, Paul, 20 years old, who also appears to have learning disabilities and has issues. when she was questioned about it, she conveniently had memory loss. Didn't recall. If that's what it said in the text messages, that's what it is. But I don't recall it. It just so troubling, ladies and gentlemen. But legal custody was with his father, Girl Friday, in Oklahoma. He had legal custody of Timothy, and he brought or sent. It's not clear if he brought him there or if he sent him there. I'm sure that somebody had to have brought him there from Oklahoma to Michigan. So it's my understanding that he had custody of his son and brought him over there and said, it's either you take him or I'm going to give him over to child services. So let's listen to Dr. G. He was spot on. Who said that? Where is it? Let me highlight that one. Sweet Lee made scrapbook and cards. Thank you for being here. I watched it all, and Dr. G was spot on. I want to listen to some of Dr. G's analysis. I listened to it quick today. He was supposed to be on with us tonight, but he had to cancel, and I understand around the holidays, a lot of things going on, but I want to play this, and I'm going to link his channel in the description. You know, he's well over 100,000 subscribers. I think 120 something now. His channel's flying off the charts, and for a good reason. He's a very talented clinical and forensic psychologist, and he's a body language expert, and he breaks this stuff down so we can understand it. So let's take a listen. Here's Dr. G, our good friend. Let's take a listen to what he has to say. And everybody make sure you're subscribed. Let me make sure I am. Yes, of course I am. And then you got to go and you click all so you get all the notifications. So this is a great video. Let's listen to what he has to say.
And just like this. All right, let's go.
The things they said about how well you did in school and all those things, were those all true?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want you sitting there and regaling us, but the things about cum laude and going to law school, all that stuff is true.
It was
Whoops. What happened? Whoopsie daisy. All right, we'll cue that back up. Hold on a second. That's pretty funny. All right, here we go.
G here. I'm a licensed clinical
Sorry,
on
Dr.
trial.
G.
Come description below.
All right, here we go.
And regaling us, but the things about cum laude and going to law school, all that stuff is true.
Promise I won't touch anything.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's go back to the very beginning.
One of the things I do want to comment on is her general appearance. The long braids over her shoulders. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not being critical, but it's unusual. When you think of someone who's going to become an attorney, her appearance is a little bit different than you would expect.
When did Timothy come to your care?
May of 2021.
Prior to that, who had physical and legal custody of Timothy?
My ex-husband.
Okay. And when he sent, and how did it happen that you ended up with custody then?
My ex reached out to me, stating that Timothy he could no longer handle him, that he was pushing his buttons, and that he needed to send him to live with me.
Hey, interesting. Lisa L said that the constant water drinking. I noticed that, and I also noticed her sucking in of her cheeks and like uncontrollable face movements. Did anybody take notice of her? It's sort of like where she's kind of sucking in her cheeks a little bit and kind of swallowing her spit. It almost looked like uncontrollable involuntary movements. But good looking out there, Lisa L. She definitely drank a lot, and that's a sign of somebody. Get dry mouth when you're nervous. It's just a sign of, I think Dr. G talks a little bit about that.
All right. Now, as we look at the body language, watch her eyebrows here. Now, I talk oftentimes about we raise our eyebrows when we want people to focus on our face. So oftentimes when you watch people's eyebrows, that lets you know what they think is important. So far, she hasn't done it much, but she does right here. Watch this.
How did it happen that you ended up with custody then?
My ex reached out to me, stating that Timothy he could no longer handle him.
All right. So the fact that her ex could, quote, no longer handle him, that's what she wants people to focus on. So she's, I believe, going to be focusing on how bad Timothy's behavior was. We heard this in another trial not too long ago, the Boy in the Box trial with Timothy Ferreter. I don't know if you all saw that, but it was a very similar type of argument.
And Dr. G also points out the, and thank you for that, for pointing that out, Sweetly. He points out that her hands were shaking. I noticed that right away live when the trial was going on. When she was drinking the water, you could see her hands shaking. But she also really, really got very nervous when the questioning, the line of questioning went into her and what she did and what she ordered. That's when she particularly got the most nervous and started with these movements and shaking and so forth, because she knew that the questioning was going to get tough. So, yeah. And no remorse whatsoever.
They're all living in your home, and then Timothy joins you, correct?
Yes, sir.
When Timothy's joining you, did your ex-husband ever make any effort to transfer legal custody to you?
We discussed it, but he never did actually sign anything. No, sir.
Okay. And without legal custody, how do you get Timothy into?
So here, I have to stop this because this pertains to the person who asked the question about the legal custody. So we heard now right here in court that legal custody was with the biological father. And he never, they discussed it, but he never signed it over to her because he couldn't. She was forbidden. She was prohibited from having custody in the state of Oklahoma. And if she knew that if she would have applied in the state of Michigan to have custody, she would have been found, she would have been found going against what the orders were. And this whole thing is a ruse. What she's talking about here, it's all hogwash, if you will. So, but her defense attorney is talking right now and questioning her as well. Yeah, Southwest, I'd want to know why she was prohibited. I don't have that information as of yet, but I will get it.
School.
You can't.
And without legal custody, how do you get medical treatment for Timothy?
You can't.
Okay, so I do want you to keep, now this part isn't body language, but I do want you to keep in mind when you're saying he didn't give me legal custody, therefore I couldn't do these things. This is a way to externalize blame. Well, I couldn't put him in school because his father didn't give me custody. But she's also not saying that she pursued custody and she fought for it and that she needed it. She was working on becoming an attorney. This is not someone who can't figure these kinds of things out. People figure this stuff out every day. So as we're seeing right here, blame is immediately getting deflected.
I have severe attention deficit hyperactivity disorder combined type. I also have sensory processing disorder and OCD. And then after my husband's stroke, as a result of my husband's stroke, because I viewed him, I wasn't in the room when he had the stroke, but I was there right afterwards. And so I developed post-traumatic stress disorder with disassociation from that. The only medication that I was on was for the ADHD.
All right. So now she's talking about PTSD and dissociating based on PTSD. I'm going to see how she uses this because there are very specific rules around dissociation and post-traumatic stress. Let's see if the way that they talk about it actually makes any sense.
Now, this is a forensic psychologist. This guy's smart and knows what he's talking about, and he's going to break this down. But guess what? Just so you guys know, this was recorded before the verdict was read. So the trial was still going on when Dr. G made this video. So he's going to make some statements about the jury and, towards the end of this, don't crucify Dr. G here because he made this video before the verdict came down and the jury made their decision. So yeah, I love Dr. G. He's awesome. I can't wait to have him on again.
Okay, there are leg irons discovered in your home. Were you aware of those?
He asked about the leg
I was aware
irons.
that Paul had them. You actually could look on my Amazon.
So they're asking about leg irons that were found. Obviously, there's many questions related to the torture they're describing that are going to be asked, but watch her reaction after this.
Let's talk about some of the things that have come up in this case. There's
a shaking.
Okay.
So after he said, let's talk about some of the things that come up in this case, you'll notice as she's drinking water, which we oftentimes do when we get nervous because our mouth dries up, it calms us to have something touching our lips. Her hands start shaking.
There were,
Now, what that suggests is a lot of adrenaline coursing through her veins right now, knowing this is going to be very hard to discuss.
okay, there are leg irons discovered in your home. Were you aware of those?
I was aware that Paul had them.
All right. Right after she starts talking about the leg irons, he asked, were you aware of those? Watch her face right here.
Discovered in your home. Were you aware of those?
I was
So oftentimes we close our eyes, one, when we think about things we don't like, and two, because we don't necessarily want to see the reaction of the person we're talking to. So as she's talking about this, she's closing her eyes briefly because this is going to be a hard thing to discuss.
aware that Paul had them. You actually could look on my Amazon. Paul had the option to do payment on the Amazon as well as mine. And Paul had actually ordered those under his account.
Okay, you did not order the leg irons.
I did not know.
Did you ever use them?
No, sir.
He didn't ask her if she ordered him to order those leg irons. I'm sure that he didn't just order them on his own. Interesting how she just throws her 20-year-old son under the bus, the one who was the enforcer for her. How quickly we see things like that happen in situations like this, where you want to just try to save your own ass. And she tried to throw him under the bus.
No, I never instructed.
Let's be in specific. Did you ever use them with Timothy?
No, sir.
Oftentimes people struggle to say things that are deceptive, especially when they first start talking. As they keep going, as they lie more and more, it gets easier and easier. But as you could hear, when he first asked if she had used the leg iron, she said, no, I never instructed. Then he asked again more directly, and she said no. But why she had said that she never instructed first is curious. Watch this interaction again.
Order the leg irons.
I did not know.
Did you ever use them?
No, sir. No, I never instructed.
Let's be in specific. Did you ever use them with Timothy?
No, sir.
Bullshit.
And you saw a big swallow after that. Oftentimes we do that when we're feeling stressed or anxious.
No, I never instructed.
Let's be in specific. Did you ever use them with Timothy?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you ever notice any bruising on Timothy's wrists or legs that might be attributable to the use of leg iron?
No, sir. I never saw anything like that.
You heard Paul talk about plastic ties. What was that about?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know why we would order. I mean, I saw the ties. I don't remember ordering them. I don't know what happened.
So her expression is almost exaggerated because she wants people to know how confused she is, because that's the look she's trying to give, is a look of confusion. And it seems almost too much. You'll see what I mean.
Ties. What was that about?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know why we would order. I mean, I saw the ties. I don't remember ordering them. I don't know what happened there.
You're going to say, I don't remember a lot, aren't you?
Unfortunately, yes, because of the dissociation. Well, I guess there's different forms. Somebody told me this. I did not find out about the PTSD and the disassociation until about 7 months after my husband's stroke, even though it had been going on since the stroke.
So the prosecuting attorney is getting ready to object, and they're going to take a break because of this. But let me explain a little bit about why he would need to do that. Because she's basically saying that she has PTSD with dissociation, which is going to give her huge gaps in memory. All right. Post-traumatic stress disorder, the purpose of it, the reason the body has post-traumatic stress disorder is to keep us safe. Sometimes that leads to gaps in memory around specific situations. So certain things may trigger dissociating, but it's not like this. It's not, I ordered a bunch of stuff on Amazon last night that's going to help me torture somebody, but I don't remember doing it. Post-traumatic stress disorder is about protecting yourself. So at times, if there are gaps in memory, it's going to be specifically related to post-traumatic triggers of some kind. So just saying, I have a really bad memory, I have huge gaps in memory, and it's because of my PTSD, that is not at all how it applies.
Thank you,
I have
doctor.
not evaluated her. I have no idea what her actual diagnoses are. But just as a general rule, that's not how PTSD works, y'all.
Starting.
Bingo, Yahtzee, thank you. And the jury saw right through it, finding her guilty on both charges that were brought forward to her: murder, first degree, and child abuse. So that was great that he explained that, because, you know, the doctor knows. And he also says, I have not, I have not examined her, but you can't just use it when it's convenient. And she is conveniently saying, 7 months after my husband had a stroke, he had a stroke in January. Do the math. 7 months leads us right into July, the death and murder of her son, Timothy.
Right after my husband's stroke, I started experiencing episodes where if you've ever passed out, like the world closed, you get tunnel vision and the world closes in on you until you completely black out. It felt like I was blacking out, but I didn't actually pass out. And the events that happened after that, I have no idea what happened.
Oh, hell no.
I don't know.
Okay.
And this happened anytime I got even a little stressed.
So
All right. How convenient this is. Because once again, I've never heard dissociation described in this fashion where you're getting tunnel vision and you're blacking out and then all of a sudden you forget things.
We had tried multiple other discipline methods and he thought maybe that would get him to stop misbehaving.
okay.
He suggested it to me and I was so wrung out, I was willing to try just about anything.
All right. Were you aware of were you aware that this hot sauce was purchased online?
Yes.
Do you know why it was purchased online instead of going to Meijer and picking up a bottle of hot sauce?
This is
Well,
unbelievable.
I didn't have time to go to the store. I mean, our groceries I did the grocery.
This is unbelievable what she does here, because I remember this from the trial. And she tries to say that her son loved hot sauce and it was his favorite. But she also says in the next breath that we were trying to make him uncomfortable and trying to restrict him from doing things and trying to restrict him from taking things apart, trying to make him feel uncomfortable and not letting him lay so his head's the right way, turn him so he's uncomfortable, make him uncomfortable. But yet she's going to say here that he loved hot sauce. That's why I got it. I got the hot sauce because he likes to eat it. He likes for us to put it on bread and shove it down his throat or pour it down his throat. This is what makes her evil and a demon. This is what makes her an evil monster.
Delivery through the Walmart app or through.
But one thing that we see from her consistently is showing over and over again that she doesn't accept responsibility for literally anything.
Why did you order this particular hot sauce or these particular hot sauces? What do they have in common?
Because I think it was the same brand, the same one. Because it was hotter than what you could usually get, and because Timothy he liked spicy food. He
Okay.
loved spicy food.
All right.
So they're going to try to dissuade this child from misbehaving by using hot sauce. And yet he also loves spicy food so much that they have to get hot sauce that they can only order online. The logic of her responses are incredible.
And the same one. Because it was hotter than what you could usually get, and because Timothy he liked spicy food. He
Okay.
loved spicy food.
What she's very good at doing is keeping her face very plain or looking very confused when talking about herself. And then when talking about the torture or the abuse, then all of a sudden getting very animated. Wow, this is really something that was necessary. Look, he just loved hot sauce. So you're going to see a contrast of behavior depending on who she's talking about, whether it's herself or somebody else.
How do you know you like
And we see parallels to not only the Ruby Frankie case, because with Ruby Frankie, her and Jody Hillebrand were starving her 2 children, right? And they had them duct taped and zip tied and, similar things that went on here. And we saw that in the Thomas Balva case where he was frozen in his garage, but also deprived of food and water and basic necessities like bathroom and so forth. So a lot of these cases, these evil, sick people turn on their own flesh and blood, their own kids, and do similar things. And these are torturous methods that are utilized here.
spicy food?
That actually started before he was ever born. Before I got pregnant with Timothy, I didn't like spicy at all. I mean, nothing, no heat, nothing. When I got pregnant with him, I started craving, my ex liked spicy foods, but I didn't. And I started craving, like I would outspice my ex. It was amazing. I still like that, not to the extent when I was pregnant, but some of that remained. But Timothy, as early as age 2, he could eat a whole bag of the flaming hot cheese.
So let me get this right. He loved spicy food so much that it changed her own ability to taste spicy things, that she all of a sudden started eating spicy food, and that he loved it so much as a kid that they all of a sudden decided to get the hottest thing they could find in order to dissuade his behaviors it's incredible the story that she is creating around this.
There's a text out there that says you suggested putting hot sauce on his penis. Do you remember hearing that? With the
I
jury?
remember hearing it, yes.
Do you remember saying those things?
I do not know, sir.
She said in the text, would it be inappropriate? This is her text to her son, Paul. Would it be inappropriate? I know this sound, she said, I know this sounds weird, but would it be inappropriate for you to put this hot sauce on his penis? And the son said, absolutely, that he was not going to do that. And then she left it alone, according to the text. Who knows how many times she may have suggested it in person. We're only going based on text messages back and forth between her phone and Paul's phone, Paul Ferguson's phone. Imagine the conversations when she got home that weren't recorded on text message. Imagine that. I have a video of two grown adults who review hot sauce. I played it on one of my last live streams here. And I could play it again if you guys want to see it. Let me know in the chat if you want to see that. I could play it towards the end of this, or I could play it now. And you could see one guy takes a little bit of this hot sauce on a teaspoon. The other one takes a full teaspoon full, and they drink it, and they are in full distress. It is unbelievable. I could link it in the description. But yeah, could you just imagine the conversation that went on? So let's just play a little bit more of this.
And once again, the whole gaps in memory thing. So she doesn't remember saying it. She didn't say, there's no way I would have said that. I didn't say that. She doesn't remember it, which is very convenient.
You're getting frustrated with
I agree.
Your child care efforts with Timothy. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Um,
Frustrated, discouraged.
did you ever intend to hurt him?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You raised other children, correct?
Yes, I did.
So one thing that we are seeing is a big, strong reaction when she's saying, no, absolutely not. What we're not seeing is any sort of sadness, regret, remorse, anything like that.
Exactly.
Frustrated, discouraged.
Did you ever intend to hurt him?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You raised other children, correct?
And see, you see the eyebrows furrowed like this. We oftentimes do this when we're concentrating or when we're angry. We certainly don't do that when we're feeling sad.
Yes, I did.
And while Timmy was malnourished, to your knowledge, have any of your other children ever been reported as malnourished?
No, not at all.
So this attorney is speaking kind of, it's hard to understand him, but he asked her if she raised any other children, and she said yes. And he said, were any of your other children malnourished? And she said no. And that's typical. It's typical what they do. Oh, look who's here. It's Ed Wallace.
Yeah, you turkey.
Ed, what's going on? It's late. Well, you should be in bed with your fuzzy slippers. Thanks for joining, Ed. All right, so let's listen to the rest of this, because the attorney is getting ready to wrap up, and then we're going to hear from the district attorney, who did a great job on her here, and he goes into a little bit of his testimony where he puts the pictures of Timothy on the morning of his death in front of her, and she fakes that throwing up routine, that whole crocodile tears and the bogus throwing up. So that's coming up right now.
Once you discovered that Timothy had passed, and once the police get there, do you tell them the truth?
I was so freaked out. I'm sorry.
Here we go.
Honestly, I've got one. Sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome. Why?
We've certainly seen a lot of crying with no tears this year, haven't we? Once again, if you've seen any of the other videos I've covered on subjects like this, it's not unusual at all that we have people that appear to be sad, that appear to be emotional, but no tears come out. That doesn't mean she doesn't feel sad, but it is questionable that there's no tears being produced.
Hey, I just wanted to stop it just for a second, because someone put it in the chat, her other child is malnourished. Now, this is coming from Addie Martinez. You're looking at Paul as he gave his testimony on the stand, but I looked at his arrest photo when he was first booked in July, and he was not like that. This is from him being incarcerated in jail, and he's probably not eating normally in jail. But when he was arrested, he looked healthy, and he was much fuller than what you saw at the trial with his testimony. So I beg to differ with you on that one. But let's let the rest of this play.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Why didn't you tell them the truth? Why were you so free?
I don't remember what my line of thinking was at the time. I was so I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't.
She tried to say I was so tired.
I was exhausted. The night before he passed, I had less than an hour of sleep.
She remembers that much. And this is what's so frustrating, is she remembers certain details except for the ones that really matter.
Were you frightened at that point?
Absolutely. I just lost my son.
Oh, God.
Need a moment?
I'm okay.
Okay. Were you expecting? Were you?
We've seen this so many times this year. It's just bizarre. Crying with no tears and then dabbing the eyes and seeing if there are tears on the napkin. Watch this right here.
You need a moment?
I'm okay.
Okay. Were you expecting? Was this outcome expected by you?
Absolutely not. No.
So would it be safe to say you were surprised?
I was shocked.
Were you in disbelief initially?
Yes, absolutely.
I do wish and I know that this is her attorney, but I do wish he would ask her how she felt rather than feeding her ways that she felt and just letting her say yes.
Did you intend to hurt Timothy?
No, never.
Did you?
Once again, watch her eyes right here.
Did you intend to hurt Timothy?
No,
There's that closing of the eyes. She doesn't like having to respond to this question.
never.
Did you know he was?
And there was also a facial expression of her, I think, once again, exaggerating the emotions.
Did you intend to hurt Timothy?
No, never.
Did you
But then her face immediately goes back to the way it was before.
know he was being hurt?
No, I didn't, unfortunately.
And that was a much longer eye close, much harder for her to look at her attorney while answering this question.
Did you know he was being hurt?
No, I didn't, unfortunately.
The tactics that you use to first of all, the tactics that you use to discipline Timothy, did they seem extreme or outrageous to you at the time?
No.
You hear how she said that softly. That's to make her seem more gentle. People sometimes do that to make themselves seem a little bit smaller, to seem a little bit like, of course not. How could I possibly do those things? Now we're going to watch some of her interactions with the prosecutor. Now, she had said that she gave him a warm bath after he had ultimately been in a cold bath for several hours.
Your warm bath sounds it's just what it sounds like, right? You got him, you took him to the bath, you drew a warm bath for him, and you put him in the bathtub, right?
Yes, sir.
Coming at her with the pictures now. This is her
This is
academy.
hours before he dies, right?
Yes, sir.
You look like that when you put him in the bathtub?
So as obviously she's reacting as though she's throwing up. Hard to say whether or not she actually is, but it is sort of convenient that this is happening so that people can't see her real reaction to the pictures. She's claiming this is the first time she's seen these. The prosecutor later on disagrees and says that you've seen these before. So it's very interesting that she is reacting in this fashion, particularly when she saw his body and saw all of this as it was happening.
Crocodile vomit.
Crocodile vomit, says Ed Wallace. Yeah. I would like to talk to the court clerk or whoever had to go over and inspect that garbage can. I would have to bet my pension on it that there wasn't a lot in there. There wasn't anything in there, probably. It didn't sound like anything dropped in there, Ed.
Just like saliva. She probably just spit.
Yeah. Phony fraud.
I'm sorry.
Gotta make the moment.
In fact, you sat in this very courtroom not even a week ago on Friday when we had a hearing about those photographs and looked at those photographs, didn't
I
you?
did not look at them last week, sir.
You didn't look at them last week?
No, sir, I did not.
But you've looked at them before, haven't you?
I think it was at the prelim, and I gagged that day too. It just wasn't as bad.
Didn't follow.
Gagged.
No, it wasn't as bad.
So if there's video from that hearing that we had last week where you thumbed through the photographs, including the autopsy photos without vomiting, do you just not remember that as well?
We didn't have those photos over at our table, sir. It won't be on the video, I can promise.
So as they're talking about what they do and don't have on video, it seems like she's starting to process and think about this.
We didn't have those photos over at our table, sir.
Because she looks directly at the camera afterward, because now she has an awareness of the camera. Now she's starting to have to think on her feet.
Those 3 photographs depict your son hours after you supposedly put him in a warm bath. Did he look like that when you put him in the warm bath, but for the fact that he was alive?
I did not look at him, sir. He was 15. I tried to give him his privacy. It may sound lame, but I intentionally look away. That's why Paul did most of his baths, is because he's 15 and I didn't think that was appropriate.
So her claims go back to the idea that she just didn't see the abuse. She just didn't know. How could she possibly know? What's so impressive about the way that she presents some of this information is it's things that are so implausible that she says with a straight face. She doesn't seem to have a strong emotional connection to these things. And so she is able to just say this with a plain face and try to make it sound like the absurd behaviors and the ludicrousness of what she's saying is just normal. Well, I didn't notice all the abuse because I tried not to look at him.
That's why Paul did most of his baths, is because he's 15 and I didn't think that was appropriate.
So you didn't put him in the bathtub?
And there you see big swallows again. She's tucking her chin down a little bit now. We do that when we start to feel defensive. So you can see her as the prosecutor's talking to her. That's scaring her. This part right here is something that she maybe feels less confident about. Because if you think about tucking your chin in, it makes a vulnerable part of your neck less vulnerable.
No, he was already in the tub. I just looked.
Did you get him out of the tub?
I don't remember. I think so. Later that night, I would assume so.
Later that night? How long was he in the tub?
Well, night to me is any time after work. So.
Okay.
See, most people will stumble on something like that. So he asked her a question that obviously, how long was he in there? Because if you're talking about night, so she slipped up. She said it was night. And then she just, without missing a beat, night's anytime after work.
Again, you didn't tell the police officers this when they talked to you about what had happened the night before, did you?
I don't remember. Apparently I didn't.
Well, so you don't remember what you told the police officers?
I remember part of it, but I mean, if you say I didn't tell them, then I trust your word there.
If you told the police officers that you noticed he was...
See how she flipped it there? I'll trust your word because I don't remember these things. So I'm being nice in that I'm showing you trust.
So you don't remember what you told the police officers?
I remember part of it, but I mean, if you say I didn't tell them, then I trust your word there. Yes, sir.
But you had to drag him there. Why was that?
Well, dragging, I mean, that could be anywhere from grabbing a hold of an arm and because someone's not being cooperative. That can be a range of things, sir. So I don't know what I was referring to there.
So with a straight face, she's able to use this defense of, I don't know, over and over again. I don't remember. And once you get used to doing something, it becomes easier and easier. So over the course of this, it's not that she isn't feeling anything as she talks about these things. It doesn't mean that she's not getting anxious or that she doesn't like having to respond to these questions. But I think that once you get used to doing that, and once you've created this narrative of I can't remember things, it gets much easier to do that over and over again.
And Ed, remember, the district attorney has the video that she
Exactly.
of her. That's why he said this video of her dragging him out of the tub and dragging him into that little room, that little closet.
She had surveillance cameras all over the interior of the house to keep an eye on him, and the exterior of the house as well.
Motion
Okay.
alarms on his arms and
Right.
his body.
Sensors on the refrigerator and the cupboards and so forth.
Crazy.
And did you push him down onto the ground so that he was laying and facing the camera?
If that's what it shows, then yes, sir.
And did you position his face towards the camera?
If that's what it shows,
And did you tell him that he owes you the
Swallow.
biggest apology on the face of the earth, and then maybe he can get out to go to the bathroom?
if that's what it shows, sir, I don't remember.
And did you?
So if you think about the narrative she's trying to create by doing this, it is that I'm a victim. That's the hope is I can't remember these things. You're saying I did all these things and they must be true, but I don't remember doing any of this stuff. The goal And the repeated part of this narrative is that she is a victim in this situation. And she is just a bystander that doesn't remember any of these things. And how could she possibly have done this? How awful. How could she possibly be responsible for something she doesn't even remember doing? That's the narrative I think that she's trying to create.
Ron, pause this.
Later because he rolled over.
There's no way she didn't see this before she got on the stand. Any defense attorney worth their salt would have prepped her, and she would have seen all the photographs. She would have seen all the reports, including the autopsy reports, the autopsy photographs. She would have seen all the videos that the prosecutor was going to use in their case. All right. They have to give that over to the defense in discovery. So the defense attorney, knowing that he's going to put her on the stand, had to have prepped her, and she had to have seen these photographs, these videos of what she actually did. So, and then to get up there after that and say, well, if that's what it shows.
Yeah. And the interesting part is that she is she's a smart person. She's an attorney, right, Ed? So she, damn well that she saw these things, and she just took it upon herself to say, I'm just gonna say I don't remember any of this. I'm gonna say that I don't remember seeing any of that stuff, because she laid the foundation down up front that she, after 7 months after her husband had the stroke and then finally passed away, this started happening to her where she couldn't remember anything conveniently. 7 months.
Self-diagnosed. We have no official diagnosis from a doctor that she has any of this.
No, and they argued that in court. So, but again, this video was created by Dr. G Explains before the verdict came out. So, let's just listen to the rest of this, because I want to show the 20 seconds or so, maybe a minute of the actual hot sauce being ingested again. People want to see that. I want to play that, and then we'll wrap it up.
Or away from the camera so that you couldn't see him on camera.
If that's what it shows, I don't remember any of this.
And did you tell him you don't need to open your mouth every time you breathe, dummy, and then hold his mouth shut?
No, I did the locks to protect him because he could have killed himself eating the chicken nuggets. I didn't put the locks on after.
This makes her seem so stupid here.
Oh, really? Really? She's worried about the chicken nuggets, which are pre-cooked, but he's eating raw bacon and raw chopped meat.
And the district attorney really schools her here. This is great.
We did the hamburger or the bacon, but the chicken nuggets, it was raw chicken.
Chicken nuggets are cooked, aren't they? They're pre-cooked.
Are they? I didn't even think about that.
But it's okay if he has a frozen pizza roll or two, if he sits up, right?
Yes, sir.
How incredible. I mean, what an unspeakably absurd line of logic to suggest that she doesn't know that chicken nuggets are pre-cooked. This is somebody who is working on becoming an attorney. This is someone who, according to her, graduated magna cum laude or summa cum laude or something like that. Point being, clearly she's now acting like this is the first time that she has thought that chicken nuggets were pre-cooked and that the bacon and the beef were raw, and that it's mind-blowing. But once again, she says it with a straight face, which is what's so impressive.
I was trying to teach him not to sneak. He snuck. It wasn't just food. He would sneak in the garage. He would sneak toys. He snuck around and messed with his baby brother's homeschooling materials. I've got like flashcards and stuff for him. He messed with those and got them all out of order.
Oh, that's
March
terrible.
4th is around the time that you acknowledged that he was in zip cuffs. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but I don't think we clarified your final text message where you said, you know what? We will start cutting off ends once they are tight, so he can't do that. Is that one of the can't remember texts too?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
It's no wonder that jury was able to come out with this verdict in 69 minutes. And coincidentally, that was the weight that Timothy Ferguson was when he was murdered, 69 pounds. Took them 69 minutes to come back with 2 guilty verdicts. This is just unbelievable, Ed. We're gonna be on tomorrow night with Dr. Joni Johnston. She's a forensic psychologist. She's available. We've had her on before. She is going to go over the body language and the psychology of her analysis of his testimony, Paul. So I think that'll be an interesting program for everybody to see, because we're going to watch as much as we can of his testimony. She's going to give us her professional analysis of him. I think that should be interesting, because a lot of people have a lot of questions. That's not going to happen, I believe, until what, the 29th?
Of January, that's correct. Yeah. January, we'll get the sentencing from the judge. But you know there's going to be an appeal. Okay, it's just almost automatic these days, so there's going to be an appeal. Yeah. But there was somebody else who put into the chat, Ron, about should the father be held responsible, and I am 100%. He should be charged. All right. There was a judge ruling against the parental rights of the mother, and she was not supposed to be unaccompanied with this child that she ended up killing. Okay. So yeah, I feel the father should be charged as well.
All right, I'm going to set up the hot sauce. Yeah, and I agree. You know, Ed, I said in the beginning of the show, the father, the biological father, the son, Paul, and also the sentence of mom, monster. Those are the top 3 questions that people were asking on DutyRon.com. And look, the videos that we did on this, many people were in agreement, but we're asking that very question that you answered just now about the father. And, you know, this boy didn't just travel from Oklahoma to Michigan on his own. He didn't put him on a Greyhound bus and say, "Oh, go." He was not capable of that. He had to have either put him in the car and drove him over there, or got on a plane and flew him there. Who knows how this all went down, but it happened, and he should be held accountable for what happened to him.
And he had no contact from that point on.
Yeah. Okay. Let me set this up for the audience. These are 2 guys who review hot sauce. This is what they do. And they're going to go and read the label. And one guy's going to take a little smidge of it, and the other guy's going to take a full teaspoon of it. And you're going to see his nose is going to start dripping on the counter. His eyes are going to start burning. Actually, the one guy that took the little bit of this hot sauce that was force-fed to him by, they were buying bottles of this stuff. They couldn't get it, she said, locally. You had to go on Amazon to get it. She was telling him to pour it straight down his throat, put it on bread, put it on his penis. There's all kinds of craziness going on with this, and we're going to see what the reaction is. So if you guys want to see that, we're going to just put it on quickly, and then I'll be right back to the comments. Let's listen to him read the label.
Yes, water, salt, sugar, cane vinegar, garlic, tomato paste, apple cider vinegar, onion, lime, passion fruit, citric and acetic acids, and xanthan gum.
I mean, it's a solid ingredient list.
The regular is good. It's a good sauce.
Like, it's a good ingredient list. I mean, fantastic. I mean, it sucks what's at the top. And you got I'm not doing much. I'm here for support.
I'm gonna eat this piece of chocolate. I just had a gigantic smoothie right before this. I'm trying to coat my.
This guy just puts a teeny bit in that spoon, a dab.
All I'm doing.
You're smart, man.
He said
that's on my channel.
Look how much he pours in. Look how much.
There are 2 different peppers in here.
Woo!
Oh, this is crazy.
Look at how much is there, Ed.
It is very smooth for having the top 3 ingredients as peppers.
And this is the hot sauce that was fed to Timothy Ferguson.
It is smooth. Yeah, it's very clean for having that much, for being 70% peppers.
It smells
so, like, just think, in what 70% of that is peppers.
It smells so angry.
So, like, over to here, all that's peppers.
Oh, I know, man. Dude, there's like separation happening in it from just sitting in the spoon of just like pepper oils. It is so angry.
I'm so glad there's no extract, though.
I know.
I'm so glad.
It's okay. I do this for you. I love you guys. Cheers.
These guys are crazy.
Oh my God.
It tastes good.
I just swallowed again.
I thought he was going to throw up.
Holy crap.
It's so hot.
The top of my throat is on fire. Dude, my teeth are hot.
My lips, my whole mouth.
I've actually watched guys do stuff
Alright.
like this, and we ended up having to take him to the hospital.
Yeah. I could see someone having a heart attack.
You know, one of our subscribers, another doctor, Dr. James,
Say again?
one of our subscribers, Dr. James, was talking about how the acid level in this hot sauce is off the charts, and that, you know, he talks about having to give people dairy products, milk, yogurt,
Yes.
and other things to try to get rid of this damage that they're causing their GI tract.
Yeah, I saw that in the chat, and I also know from one of our good friends. He doesn't come around a lot, but Hot Sauce Junkie Tim. He's a corrections captain in the Midwest. I don't want to dox him or blow him up, but he has his own channel, and I went on his channel to see if he had a review of this, and I reached out to him, and he told me that this is too vile for him to review. Dr. Berry, thank you for being here. I checked out your channel, by the way. Coincidentally, it's odd that you're here. Just tonight, I watched one of your videos. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate you. You hanging out with us. Let's finish this up, Ed, because it gets worse. These guys.
I know. I feel so.
Yeah.
And these guys are doing this to themselves. They're masochistic. They're sadomasochistic.
Right. But and guess what? This video was created many months ago. Let me just look and see. 11 months ago. 11 months ago they did this. So this is not in response to this. I just searched for this Elijah's Extreme Regret Reserve, and this is what came up.
Oh, it's rising.
My eyes are watering.
You have the hiccups?
I think I'm...
It's coming out of my nose. Like my nose wants to start running, and the snot in my right nostril is really hot.
You can almost feel the spread in your mouth of the heat, like spreading. Ah. I get that, like, that panic, that feeling of like impending doom.
I get the panic and that feeling of impending doom. I mean, again, this was 11 months ago they did this. And these two guys look at all the bottles on the shelves. These are all the bottles that they've reviewed. So this isn't their first go around at this. But man, they're having a hard time. Labored breathing. This Bengals guy who took the smallest amount, it seemed like he was going to throw up in the beginning. It looked like he was ready to throw up.
So it has Ghost, Scorpion, and Reaper peppers, over 800,000 Scovilles. I mean, this is off the chart. It's the world's hottest hot sauce. They specifically chose this hot sauce to torture this kid.
Yeah, intentional. And when questioned on the stand, she tried to justify it. Oh no, Timmy loves this stuff. But everything that you did was to make him feel uncomfortable. So now all of a sudden you're buying this world's hottest hot sauce to give him something that he wants
At $30 a bottle.
Yeah. I hope she rots inside her cage and that she doesn't have one good day inside jail, and then when she goes up to prison, when she's finally sentenced, I really hope that she has not one good day, and that she's got plenty of time in her small room, which is going to be a small cell, and I hope she just rots.
You know, she has those jailhouse pigtails. Is it pigtails? Yeah, pigtail, braided pigtails, right?
Yep.
You know, and if they, you know, she better be careful. If they get any longer,
yeah.
You know, I've actually had a homicide where somebody was choked out with their pigtails.
Interesting. I never even thought of that, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Yeah, they will get longer. All right, let's let the rest of this. Only another minute. he comes back now, and then you see just stuff dripping out of his face. You're having a hard time breathing.
Dude, I don't even know. I don't I don't even want to know how you feel right now, Brian.
He took the smallest amount.
Holy crap. The backs of my teeth are hot. I'm salivating.
Yeah, it's dripping his nose. Oh,
There it is.
he said, there it is. There it is.
Oh,
Oh, that was
It's like he was proud of that, this guy. It's like, there it is.
my
it's crazy.
There it is.
They're just, I mean, they're not doing anything to relieve it.
No.
My body temperature is rising.
And he took a dash of it. My body temperature is rising. This poor kid. All right, so we get the idea here. I needed to play that, Ed. We're back on. I need to play that just to let everyone see how evil, how demonic this woman was. And tomorrow night, we're going to get into the conversation with forensic psychologist, Dr. Joni Johnston, who's been on with us many a times, what her thoughts are on Paul. He's 20 years old. Again, she's not going to know what his official diagnosis is, but I asked her and I sent her today the two videos, the cross-examination and the examination, the questioning by the district attorney and then the cross on the defense. And I asked her to just go over some of the highlights, and I'm interested to see what she's going to have to say tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be live with Dr. Joni Johnston, and we're going to go over Paul Ferguson's testimony. And I want you guys to send questions to us on what you want us to ask the doctor as it pertains to Paul, who inflicted. And I'd like to get your thoughts on it a little bit tonight. He was directed by his mom, and it's clear, at least to me, that the mom was in control of the narrative and what was happening in that household. And she was doing it remotely from work, a lot of it that we saw. But like I said, before you came on or while you were in the studio, what kind of conversations happened that weren't documented by text, that were in person, face to face?
Oh my God. She said to them that one text, it was very ominous. I am not happy with you. We'll speak about this when I get home. And I was like, holy shit, Paul is in for it. Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that kid had not a great go at it. I mean, will he ever recover? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I hope so. I said it, and I think I took a lot of heat for it too. I said it on a previous video. I felt bad for him. You know, I don't condone, obviously, and I feel horrible for what he inflicted on his own brother, but I just looking at him just made me sad. You know, looking at him on that on the witness stand, and the way he kept looking over at his mother, and I mean, he looked like he was really scared. You know, so I want to find out what the professionals have to say.
So the question here was, but why was Paul in handcuffs and she was not? Because it would be prejudicial to her in her trial. It wasn't his trial. Okay. Right. So therefore she wasn't in handcuffs when she testified, but he was being obviously transported back and forth from jail where he's being held. And he was in his jail outfit, and we shackled and cuffed. So his ankles and his hands were cuffed together.
Let's go over these super chats real quick. There's only a couple of them, and I covered the other two before this. Floating the river, we answered this. Could the dad be charged with endangering the child, endangering the welfare? He knew she wasn't supposed to have Timothy in her care. Longtime lurker, loved you too. Thank you for the support. Yeah, we said yes, and we feel that he should be held responsible. But will that happen? I don't know. Schmitty sends in $2, and she says, right, I'm sitting here with ice cream. LOL. Oh my God. Yeah, she was probably with these guys testing the
hot sauce.
Yeah. Well, listen, it was an unscheduled late live. I I had my son in from Florida with his girlfriend, and then they left kind of early. So I was like, I wanted to get this out there because tonight we would have had Dr. G on with us talking about Paul, but we have Dr. Joni ready to go, and she was like, I'll step right in. So I'm looking forward to her take on this, and I think it's going to be a good show tomorrow night. So yeah, this is an evil woman. Look, we're looking at Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand, who did similar things to both of her children, and God only knows how many other of her other kids were. Ruby Frankie, I'm referring to. We know that they were all in some way physically or mentally abused. I mean, these are sick people. Zip ties, duct tape, cayenne pepper on wounds. Talking about kids' skin slothing. Ed, you want to define what that is? Slothing.
Yeah. So when a person dies after time due to decomp, the skin will start to slough off in layers. And there'll be blistering that occurs where water, where fluids will fill in the skin. Now it all depends on the temperature and the body position and so forth, and whether their bodies are covered or clothed and so forth. It seems to be more prevalent when the bodies are not clothed and exposed to the air. And so, I mean, just simply touching the skin of a decedent that has been dead a while and has what we call the sloughing, the skin will peel right off, releasing gases that are horrible smelling. In fact, that I've had cases where seasoned hardcore, like television style detectives in the NYPD, truly vomited after the smell was released from the skin slippage when we were examining the body.
The reason I brought it up is because in the affidavits and stuff, and as it pertains to Ruby Frankie, they said that her son's skin, the 12-year-old, was made to stay out in the hot Utah sun, and his skin, he got so severely sunburnt that his skin started to slough. That was the wording that I read in the documents. I'll send it to you so you can.
Yeah, well, that's a different type. That's caused by the damage of the sunburn and so forth. But there's blisters associated with that as well.
Terrible.
But I mean, also, when you in many of the cases in that Frankie case, apparently there was some kind of torture chamber in the basement, hidden location, and there would be shackled to the floor. Now, if you're depriving somebody of fluids and you're depriving them of food and they're constantly fixed in a position, you ended up getting bed sores, and things of that nature. And those things are nasty and very hard to heal. Okay. Once you get them.
These young kids. Hey, listen, guys, if you're not yet subscribed, consider subscribing here, sharing this video out, giving us the thumbs up. Ed and I appreciate that. And I want to say thank you to the replay viewers and the moderators and everyone who subscribes. You guys are what makes this a great community. And we're coming up on Christmas, coming up this weekend. Christmas Eve will be Sunday. Christmas is Monday. And we'll do a members only for the members before Christmas time. But, I want everyone to, again, reach out to your loved ones, stay close to your family. And like Ed said on the last live, if you have somebody that in your family or friends that you haven't spoken with, maybe try to make amends. This is a great time of year to do that. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. But yeah, we want to thank everyone for the growth. I mean, we're growing really quickly here, and a lot of people are subscribing, and we can't thank you guys enough we're honored that you entrust us with your subscription. So thank you for being here. 193, close to 194,000. I mean, Josh, God rest his soul, we miss him. He said to me all year long, "Hey, we're gonna break 200,000 this year." Well, we're pretty close. So Josh is helping us out, I think, from up above. So love you too, Pete. Thank you, Florida Pete. It's always great to see you. Wendy Kraft and everybody, thank you for being here. So tomorrow night, it's going to be a good one. Ed, you see anything in the chat? I see you working it.
Yeah, I just want to say something about, there is a petition and I have a link for it that is in one of our previous episodes. So if you go to YouTube and you look up 1121 King Road, okay,
1122. Yes, 1122.
1122 King Road, destroying evidence. Check out one of those two. There's two videos of that, and in there is a link to a petition. If you believe that the house should not be torn down until after trial, avail yourself of that petition, and put your thoughts in there to preserve the house until after trial. I think they're making a terrible mistake by allowing the university to tear down this house at this time. Again, I keep saying it over and over again. Whether you believe it or not, rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, and have that being a determining factor of a guilty or an acquittal at trial, because one juror wanted to go visit that house and now it's gone.
I just don't understand it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And again, you got it. It's all fenced up. And what's the difference if you keep it just? I don't care if the trial is not done until 2025. You can tear it down after that. Justice is what we want. And
exactly, justice first.
Yeah, if that impedes justice, why in God's name would you do that? Anyways, all right. On behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we're going to wish everyone a good evening. I got to get to bed. I'm up early in the morning. See you guys tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to go over the testimony of Paul Ferguson with Dr. Joni Johnston. It's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. God bless each and every one of you here, and especially this tiny victim here, Timothy Ferguson. We're sending that, we're hoping and praying that he's resting in peace. I know he is.
Oh, yeah.
We're sending all of the first responders and people who cared about him. We don't know the dynamic of the extended family. I have no idea. I just heard a stepmom flew in from Florida for the trial. I don't know these people, so we're not gonna bash them. We send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to an entire family, whoever was there to care for him or that did care about him and was too far away to help. And again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your subscription. It means a lot to Ed and I.
Amen. Amen. Yes, he's in a far better place than we are right now. He knows no hunger. He knows no pain anymore. All he knows is love and happiness. And remember, folks, it is the holidays. Check in on your loved ones. Check in on those less fortunate than yourselves. And have a blessed holiday. And stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Good night from New York City. We'll see you soon. Peace from Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed.